Hello! Hello, 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 hello. Hello, and welcome to this Final Boss Fight live stream of the Council of Tamrinor. My name is John, and I am joined by Ben.
Hi.
And by Sean.
Yeah, it's good to see you there.
Who, when, who, where, what, when, who, what?
And I don't remember if I said this, but I'm John. Hi. I think I did, but I might not have done. If I didn't, I'm John. If I did, I'm, still John. Hi.
Barry.
We are here to discuss world building. It's been a hot minute since we last did one of these. We skipped December because a month ago, I was in a little theatre seeing Milton Jones with Sean. And right about now, he launched into a cavalcade of one-liners that would have was very humorous, and that made it very difficult to also be on the stream at the same time.
Well, I say you could have had a guest star.
Yeah, possible. Very maybe possibly. We are going to look at... we've decided this week, by process of I said three things and one of them got a vote, decided to discuss factions within Tamrinor. Either opposing factions to the player characters or friendly factions which they can join. We have a few already, so I think sort of step one should probably be going over those that we already have and maybe seeing where there are some that might need a little bit more discussion, and then maybe look and see if there's any that we want to add in. But actually, the first thing I want to do is not to do with factions at all, because I've added a couple of new locations, and I want to run them past the council, as it were, to see what you guys think of the new locations I've added.
How dare you?
All right.
So first up is Durok's Forge. Deep beneath the Iron Spine Mountains, which also technically is a new location, yes, lies Durok's Forge, a sprawling subterranean city built around a massive ancient volcanic vent, which also gets away with being a fun alliteration. The Forge is both a literal and figurative heart of dwarven ingenuity, where ingenuity where lava powers the great furnaces and ancient mechanisms that hum throughout the city. Legend tells of the ancient dwarven forge master Durok, who discovered the volcanic caverns and tamed the fire inside. Guided by divine intervention, Durok and their kin, built a city around the forge using the volcanic heat to forge weapons, armors, tools, and other wonders unmatched by any other civilization. Generations ago, a philosophical rift divided Durok's Forge. One faction believed in holding on to the ancient traditions that the forge was built on, while the others sought to push the boundaries of invention, delving into experimental technology. And then there are three locations within Durok's Forge of note. A massive central forge powered by lava flows, the core forge is capable of smelting even the toughest of ores and metals. It is said to be imbued with the spirit of Durok and ensuring it is said to be imbued with the spirit of Durok, ensuring that its fires never die. The runes...
Unlike him, who died so hard.
He died very, very much. He is dead. The rune spire is a towering spire inscribed with runes. It's in the name, really. This structure channels geothermal energy throughout the city, powering everything from lights to elevators. And then the Tinkerer's Quarter is home to the inventors, engineers, and experimental artisans. This district buzzes with innovation. Its chaotic streets are filled with flying automata, half-finished contraptions, and occasionally explosions.
Constant, never-ceasing explosions.
Only occasionally explosions. Sometimes they're intended.
Never-ceasing explosions.
Any comments on Durok's forge, Durok himself, or those three sort of sub-locations?
No, I think that sounds about...
I hate them.
Okay. We've now reached a rift in the council, much as there is a rift in Durok Forge's history.
Despise them with every fibre of my being.
So we need to solve this one with martial combat, don't we?
Yep. I'll get my hammer, and I shall meet you on the fields of battle.
We don't have the budget for that. We couldn't rent the fields of battle.
That's unfortunate. About the corner of combat.
I mean, the best I could do you is like a partial ownership of a corner of a building.
How about the broom cupboard of Argy Bargy?
Yeah, we could probably reach that.
All right, to the broom cupboard of Argy Bargy. Come
on. So yeah, any comments? Any old iron?
All right. It seems fine to me. Makes sense. I don't see anything wrong with it.
I think at some point we'll need to look at the map and work out where we put these volcanic mountains.
I was going to say, that's about the only thing I could think of, because we haven't talked about there being any volcanic interest or geological side of things being in the world yet.
Just stick a massive volcano in the middle of the map.
Yeah, what could go wrong?
Slap bang in the middle.
The other new location I've added is one that we've vaguely touched on before. Because I was writing up the monsters. And I've not done any actual statting of monsters just yet, but I've written up the backstories of all of the monsters into book form. And one of the things I realized when I was writing these is we'd mentioned that the Thaumendizers were used to keep magic users in prison. But we hadn't mentioned where the prison was. We'd vaguely discussed keeping it in Arium, where the Thaumendizers are from, which I think makes sense. Also because if you build a prison in the middle of a vast desert, it's really difficult to escape from. Because there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
It does tend to be a thing. Or the ocean, but then it gets really close to Azkaban.
Yeah, and we don't want to be close to Azkaban.
No one wants to be close to Azkaban.
what I would love to place down is effectively, so it's in the desert and it's buried beneath it. That pretty much the only thing you see of this prison is effectively one guard post at the very top. The rest is
That's
very further down, but it gets cooler and colder.
that's pretty much what I've decided.
Hmm.
So we're on the same lines here. I named it. I looked at our list, or my list, because I don't have access to any lists that you guys might have. I looked at my list of potential namings for things, and I settled on the Lumina Oubliette. And I've written that it is hidden deep within the desert, is a high security prison designed to contain the most dangerous wielders of arcane power. Built around a centralized null zone where magic ceases to function, the prison amplifies this natural phenomenon with reinforced wards and anti-magic enchantments. Its labyrinthine structure of unyielding stone disorients inmates, while shafts of filtered sunlight cast blinding beams into its desolate halls, emphasizing the isolation of its captives. The oubliette employs thaumanizers, large lizard-like creatures that radiate magic-nullifying orders as living wardens. These creatures patrol the prison, feeding on any residual arcane energy and ensuring no prisoner can harness magic. Inmates ensure... inmates in... I think that should be endure. I probably wrote that wrong. Inmates endure near total isolation with minimal interaction and relentless desert heat, breaking their resolve as much as their power. Feared across the land, the oubliette stands as a symbol of justice and a tool of oppression, while many see it as a required safeguard against the wielders of destructive magic. Others view it as a grim reminder of the cost of suppressing arcane freedom. It stands as a stark testament to the delicate balance between security and tyranny in a world shaped by magic. That last bit may be a bit too fruity, I don't know. Also, Tanny's here now.
Hey.
I'm assuming in the chat, not in.
In the chat, yes. They say, slides, sup, buddies.
So
yeah, I think the idea is it's buried in the ground of the desert, and you might see a tower. But it's very simple what is actually above ground.
Well, that's it when it comes down to it. If you make it so that there is less and less places for you to get out or get in, then you just highly fortify that one part. Then when it comes down to the base underneath the ground, effectively amplifying in the effects, because you could even throw in some other little aspects, like in order for the sake of the heat and all that side of things, depending on how high up you are, but the worse you are, the further down you go, because the way that they built this building focuses the energy almost like down to a point. So it's almost like an inverse pyramid coming down. So the more powerful that you were, the more dangerous that you are perceived, the lower you will go. The less interaction you'll have, the further away from the other people you will be. You could even place down that there is a single prisoner who has been there for as long as any guard can remember. All they know is he's still alive, but no one dares to ask or talk or do anything more than slide the food in and clear out the mess and clear out its bucket when it's done.
And his name is Jim.
has been there as long as any guard can remember. Everyone's scared of him and don't ask questions. Okay. Let's have a look at the factions.
Factions.
Here we go. So the factions. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 factions already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those are ones the players might join. And 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. One of them's on the fence. 4 of them are ones.
What are they doing on the fence for? Get them off the fence!
So there's currently 5 that the players would join, 3 that the players would be enemies to, and 1 where it could go either way. Who knows? It depends on the time of day and what type of adventure somebody's running. I mean, to be fair, most of these depend on what type of adventure you're running, because if you're running a bad guy adventure, you flip that and reverse it.
Very true.
What are we looking to add to the factions, then, do we think?
Well, I must admit, I had an idea of something which I like the idea of, which is effectively a faction which is all about releasing the magic which has been trapped in artifacts. Effectively believing that that is an impure way of dealing with magic in the first place.
Okay.
So their whole deal is literally anything which has been enchanted is to release the magic which is stuck within it. They don't believe the same when it comes down to potions, but magical artifacts and instruments they believe wholly should be destroyed. I would place them down as a sort of chaotic neutral where you're never really going to be able to tell whether they're going to be good or kind. They might be trying to convince you, or they might try and rip what armor you have on you off. Or they could literally just be ones going around and being as gentle as possible, just sneaking into dungeons and getting rid of the ones they find. But the only thing which sort of connects them all, regardless of how brutish or how cunning they are in their tactics, is that they have a belief that it is an impurity of magic for... Sorry. It's an impurity of magic for enchanted items.
Okay.
I haven't come up with a name for it yet.
Okay, so I've got notes on that now. Do we want to just run through what the factions that we do have are?
That's very good.
Yes, because I don't fucking know.
So starting off with A, we have the Adherents of Rorquesh. They are a staunch and disciplined order dedicated to the preservation of the world around them. They are bound by their reverence of Rorquesh, the last known brass dragon, and their commitment to honor, courage, and protection. They tend to be paladins and monks. The paladin followers tend to wear heavy plate armor inlaid with brass trim, typically featuring the symbol of the dragon. They tend to wield swords, axes, and spears, and then typically those will be enchanted with fire magic. The monks of the order tend to wear lighter armor, cloth, and leather, but still are marked with brass trim. They are trained to be deadly fighters with a simple polearm or in unarmed combat. The followers predominantly wear greens, browns, and golds. The adherents of Rorquesh live by a strict code of honor, valuing courage, loyalty, and fairness. Their word is their bond. Paladins are typically tied to nature and take on the oath of the ancients. They are strong protectors of the natural world and therefore might have a deep understanding of herbalism or animal behavior. Their hidden fortress monastery is hidden in... Their hidden fortress monastery is hidden.
Hidden.
It's really hidden.
Never fucking find it.
In the rolling grasslands of the Boreas Fields. It features a complex set of underground caverns which house a library of ancient knowledge and a large training facility. In the center of the caverns is a large memorial dedicated to Rorquesh, which features the bones of the dragon which the devout followers can commune with. It is said that the most devout members of the adherents can take on the aspects of the dragon, including the ability to talk to small creatures, resist the burning flames, or even breathe fire in combat. And we are now about 20 seconds away from our first ad break of the night, so let's stretch for time.
Yeah, how about them sports teams, eh?
Yes, they have sure been playing some events.
Did you see the sports that occurred the other day? What was the ref on?
He was,
as usual.
He was very cited of some description. I'll be right back after I take off this hoodie thing.
He most certainly made an erroneous decision.
Headphones have now returned.
That's good.
And hair has been cleared from in front of my eyes. I can see once more.
Good God.
As soon as I can breathe comfortably, that'll be even better. Because I feel from the sounds of things, we're all not feeling very well at the moment.
No, I'd definitely say that's right.
I'm pretty okay. I'm just a bit sleepy.
Well, Shord's the healthiest of us all.
I'm just a little sleepy. It's been a lazy day, so it's just kind of affected everything. Oh, wow.
Was that your rendition of Unjust Ken?
I watched Barbie today.
Fair enough.
He
now
has...
The Chewbacca version stuck in his head.
That's now in my head. As well as Push by Matchbox 20. That's also in my head right now.
It's a very good film.
It's a great film. No, it didn't. You know, they could have just gone the normal route that many of the crappy CG movie Barbies have done. But no, they went, no. What if
not?
Barbie? What they went the Pixar route of what if Barbie, but feelings?
We're back now from the ad break. Welcome back, community. Barbie, but feelings.
Barbie,
but
what feelings?
The next faction on our list is the Alliance of Casimir. Started by King Casimir IV, is an alliance of the noble humanoid races led from Lorfell. It is a major government-level organization. It runs the police and the armies, as well as both Fort Casimir and Fort Vigil. There is a heraldry listed of a sea of light blue with concentric rings in the background and 8 hands resting against it, representing the races in the alliance. It is led by the Council of Casimir, elected members of the noble humanoid races. They might have a figurehead, otherwise known as Casimir, who wears the magical armor.
The entire army.
He wears the army, or wields the mighty sword. I don't think we've decided on whether they have a mighty sword or armor, but they certainly have one of those.
Why not both?
Well, I mean, why not both? The alliance is made up of the avians, dwarves, elves, gnomes, humans, and wild ones. And goblins.
And guys called Steve.
The alliance seeks to keep peace across the land and is also allied with the Emberwolf archivists. In times of dire need or catastrophe, the Alliance can put out the request to assemble the Knights of Casimir, a chivalric order dedicated to the work of Casimir.
Interesting.
They're kind of the Lord's Alliance, you know, like the generic, these are the good guy government organization.
Yes. These are the good ones, which will make it all the more jarring when they do something really bad.
Yes. The Circle of Wanderers is a unique religious order distinguished by their dualistic reverence for Uana the Verdant Queen and Felkite the Wanderer. This duality underpins their core belief in the harmonious interplay of stability and change, growth and exploration. Central to their faith is the concept of the endless path. This philosophy encourages members to seek out every facet of existence, no matter how perilous or obscure, whether it's scaling the highest mountains, delving into the darkest forests, or confronting the corrupting lands to the east, which we still should probably have a better name for. Wanderers believe all experiences contribute to their spiritual growth and understanding of the world. The Circle is a decentralized organization with no formal hierarchy or central leadership. Instead, it is a loose network of individuals united by their shared belief. This structure allows for maximum flexibility and freedom, enabling members to pursue their own paths of exploration without constraint. Wanderers are typically nomadic, moving from place to place in search of new experiences. They are often skilled survivalists, herbalists, and scholars possessing a deep knowledge of the natural world. Their camps are temporary and minimal, reflecting their transient lifestyle. The Circle is often viewed with a mix of awe and suspicion. Their fearless pursuit of knowledge and their willingness to venture into dangerous territories earns them respect, but also makes them outsiders in civilized society.
Bunch of weirdos going around all over the place.
Yep.
Pretty much, but
Got to respect them. Sometimes.
When you fancy it.
The Cliffsiders are an anarchist group that nearly destroyed the Alliance of Casimir before it started. They sided with Queen Kaliska and a unified force of raptors. They have been banished from Tamrinor and now live on the wind-blasted rock of an island called Lycos.
Cool.
That's pretty much all I got for them. They're not likely to be a good guy organization.
Does mean they can't join them or at least get hired by them.
Yeah.
They may not know they've been hired by them, but they might be hired by them.
Oh, I missed one in my notes on the Obsidian in that we don't actually have listed on here the cracked cog.
Son of a bitch.
So we have the cracked cog, a punk underground organization from Vectis Haven. The cracked cog is not just a name but a philosophy. They believe the broken pieces of society can be rebuilt into something better, stronger. They are determined to see their city rebuilt and out from under the oppressive social hierarchy. They meet in the Pit, an underground speakeasy stroke tavern in the back of an old warehouse. For more information about the Pit, see page 24 of the book. The heraldry of that group is a version of the symbol of Vectis Haven with the cog either cracked, broken, or completely removed to show that people are no longer part of the machine.
Yeah, man.
We then have the Emberwolf Archives, or Archivists, a group of knowledge hunters and seekers made up mostly of avians. They aim to find knowledge and keep it out of the hands of their enemies. They are opposed by the Raptors and specifically a group called the Hunger of Knowledge.
The Hungy Knowledge. Hungy Knowledge.
We then have the Empire of Balatur, also known as the Children of the Forest, a now fallen empire of militaristic elves who invaded various settlements from Torgalad, led by Arda Tur. But who's to say there's not still members of that faction around to this day?
There could be. Spooky hands!
I've got much more notes about the Hunger of Knowledge in the book, so I'm going to turn to the book notes and say, the Hunger of Knowledge is a sinister cult comprised of raptors, the corrupted and flightless offshoot of the avian race. In stark contrast to the avian's natural inclination towards learning, this cult has twisted... their intelligence into a destructive force. Their core belief is that knowledge is a poison, corrupting minds and leading to societal decay. They venerate a philosophy of ignorance, believing that a return to a more primitive state would usher in a golden age of purity and strength. This stance has brought them into direct opposition of the worshippers of Beffin, the Folio of Eras. The Hunger of Knowledge is a hierarchical organization with a raptor high priest at its apex. Below them are ranks of zealots, enforcers, and spies. The cult operates in the shadows, infiltrating libraries, universities, and other centers of learning. Their methods are as brutal as their ideology, and driven by the bloodlust of raptors, they employ sabotage, assassination, and terrorism to disrupt the flow of knowledge. Their targets include scholars, historians, and anyone who promotes education, so they really don't like teachers.
Nobody likes teachers.
They also seek to destroy physical repositories of knowledge, such as libraries and archives. The current leader of the Hunger of Knowledge is only known by the name Mortis Scriptura, and is a figure of intense religious fervor. He is also seen as a prophet by his followers, their every word interpreted as divine revelation. They are charismatic, drawing in the weak-willed while striking fear into the hearts of their opponents. So that's the Hunger of Knowledge. They're definitely the bad guys.
But are they, though? They don't like teachers, and we all don't like teachers. So...
Yeah, but, you know, they're pretty cut and dry that they just don't like any learning anywhere of any kind.
I suppose.
The Pirates of Staros have set up their ships in various configurations. The Pirates' Council is led by the Pirate King. The current Pirate King is Jessie, the Goddess Chatham, a fiery, red-headed pirate with a constant knowing smirk. She has a large sword-fighting scar on her cheek, which she has accentuated with tattoos and makeup. She will bring up the scar and attempt to make people feel uncomfortable about her. While she is slight, she is renowned for her monumental feats of strength. She often enters combat without weapon in hand, wielding whatever comes to hand. Jessie is the 7th Pirate King of Staros. The meeting point of the council and seat of the Pirate King is the Dark Spine's Keel, a tavern made from the first boat that formed the foundation of Staros itself. The Navigators Guild has gathered all of the charts and equipments from the various ships and started cross-referencing them on a single ship towards the heart of Staros. The pirates first settled in Staros under the leadership of Mobius Darkspine Aurelius, who led his armada here, and as he grew older realized that settling down and forming a town would allow for a more stable and consistent existence.
Wanted to settle down, have a wife and kids, a dog, white picket fence.
Retire to the south of France.
Yep.
The Roots.
Oh, the Root!
The Roots are a secretive group that exists with members of both the Avians and Elves, who have realized that the two races have more in common than their rivalry. Near the heart of Lawfell are a pair of trees, one formed by the Avians, the other by the Elves, which have been seen growing into each other. Originally started as a competition. This led to the formation of the group. Their heraldry is a leaf that merges into a feather with a single central stem.
Obviously evil.
So that's the factions we've got. Is there anything we wish to add on top of that, anything we wish to add to any of those?
With the Alliance of Casimir,
Yes.
the leader is elected members, or the council is various elected members of each race.
Yes.
I'm assuming each one. They might have a figurehead. So, is the royal family, is the royalty of the Casimir line still going?
I think we'd suggested that the royal family had ceded to the Republic, as it were. They aren't. There isn't a royal family anymore. They gave up their power and handed it over to the council.
So this figurehead, if there is one, isn't actually Casimir or any of his relatives. Is just someone that they have decided
An elected official.
Would be essentially a prime minister / president.
Yes. I think essentially it's not even necessarily like the prime minister or president, in that it might be like the general in the army that you're sending out. Like, this is the guy, look at him, yay, he's wearing the armor. Oh, let's hope he doesn't die horribly.
Well, that's kind of what I wanted to inquire about, is something that I think would be cool, at least, I think, is if the person who is the figurehead has this armor, has this weapon, whatever, but once they don that, they are not known as their old self. They're possibly even referred to as Casimir, or the Casimir, or something like that. And they are kind of like this leader, but like the armor encompasses their whole body. The people don't know who they are, so that if they decide they wish to, retire and go and live a quiet life, they won't get bothered and fucking constantly fucking berated for their poor leadership or whatever. Like if they made one mistake in their entire reign, or not reign, but
leadership
tenure.
time.
Yeah. So it's like almost like an anonymous position so the council probably know who they are, because I'm assuming they'd probably vote on who they believe should have this
Somebody
role.
has to put them in charge.
But it's like the people don't know. And so it could be like a particularly well-known commander or something like that, and they admittedly is slightly odd if someone well-known would suddenly go missing, but maybe someone who's risen to prominence but isn't necessarily fucking paraded through the streets or something like that. This good evening.
Caesar became a name of power and authority, so Casimir could become a title or office, says R. Norton. And Rekia says, good evening, Fbuff crew. Hi, Rekia.
Exactly.
And yeah, precisely.
Exactly as Norton said. But obviously with the added thing of like with Caesar, everyone saw his face, everyone knew it wasn't the same one. But with this one, it's like, not quite sure. It could be. The voice is a bit similar. It could be.
I mean, equally, it's probably not the same one as.
Was he always that? Was he always that tall?
Was he always a woman?
Was he always a woman? Oh, that would be quite a good thing. Like, if the armor was very much androgynous armor, so it's like you couldn't quite tell. I mean, by all means, the voice would give it away if they needed to.
Well, you can get away with that as well, though.
Yeah.
Just for the sake that they don't speak. The whole point is that almost everyone knows that it's an elected official, but no one knows who it is. So, you might have had your vote to place someone in, but they're all disappeared. You have no idea which one is actually in there. All you know is what's said by the person who is the voice of Casimir, who then.
I mean, even then, with it being obviously, with it being fantasy, it could be the helmet has a minor enchantment to make all of them, make anyone who speaks through it sound the same.
I was going to say, I was going to go with the alternative approach of just in much the same way of have they always been a woman? It's just like there is an enchantment over the armor that's like it papers over any of those cracks effectively in your mind of like, of course they've always been 3 foot tall.
As an interesting way of placing this, can we then perhaps make it that it is an armor made with an essence of a false Hydra?
Oh.
Designed for exactly that purpose, that Casimir has always been and will always be, because whatever you see, that is Casimir. And it just corrects your memory to what Casimir is, only to what Casimir is.
What Casimir is currently.
Yes. But it just makes you think that Casimir has always been that, though.
Yeah. Because obviously with it being magic armor, at least going by most RPG rule systems, it's like magic armor like transforms to fit its wearer. So even if it was like an avian, yeah, their armor's always had like a space to let wings out. Of course it has. It's always had enough room for like the beaked face and things like that. It's like always had that, obviously.
Rekia, to answer your question, I'm a little under the weather. Ben is very under the weather. Sean's a little sleepy. R. Norton says, could there be 5 Casimirs chosen, 5 commanders, and a supreme Casimir, so no one knows who is who?
Well, that's what I kind of meant when it came down to, if we're making it a form of democracy of any kind, that effectively there will be a selection process, but they all disappear. So you never know which one's in charge. You just know that it's one of the ones that you chose.
Yeah, I think Norton's suggesting is that there are 5 of them constantly, which I don't believe is that makes it a little messy.
I think that we...
Like I say, Ben's idea of like, there's like I don't know, like to take the number given 5 of them selected, people and the council vote on who they like and who they want, and then, as Ben says, they all go away, paid to retire, I don't know, appearance-altering magic, whatever. They all go.
They all go to the nice farm upstate.
Or, I mean, once again, we're playing around with the false Hydra aspect. It's not that they go, it's that they are replaced back into society, but people forget that they were the person who was actually running. It is wiped from the memory.
Yeah.
In effect, are we saying that the Alliance of Casimir has a false Hydra under its control that they are using for these as well?
I'm going to go with a no, that they've got some of the essence of such a creature. They don't actually have a false Hydra because you can't control that.
No.
I was going to say, it was a case of otherwise you'd have to come up with a hell of a way for them to try and control that.
Yeah,
You
I
keep
think it's just they
forgetting that you
managed
need to control
they
it.
possibly, like, with enough research, they've been able to replicate the effect
Yeah.
in a more controlled manner. But even then, possibly, like, they still have to, like, heavily maintain the armor to make sure it has the proper effect, and it doesn't go too far and fuck everything up. But so it could still be like a very chaotic kind of, even in a solid state as a piece of armor and a piece of enchanted equipment, they still have to maintain it because it keeps trying to veer into like full false Hydra territory.
I must say, when it came down, I was half wondering when we were slowly turning the Alliance of Casimir into the SCP of our world.
That's my next suggestion. We're going to have the SCP Foundation.
The other thing that Richard requests, what I want to know is, do the people really think this person is the very same Casimir, or is it a tradition people buy into? I don't think it's people think it's the same one. I think they just know what the armor means.
Yeah.
Placing that, but it's not just that. It's not that they don't know that they change around all the time and all that lot. But the other side of things is that they couldn't get to the point of distinguishing one Casimir from another if they look back towards their work and what they've done.
Yeah.
They know that it's been changing. They know that it's been a new Casimir, but they couldn't pinpoint anything. So it's not like you could place, if it wasn't for the second Casimir and the run would be bloody yada yada.
It's kind of like it's a position of office where as opposed to like without prime ministers, we can look back and say, fucking Tony Blair, that arsehole, he did such and such and such and such. It's the decisions and everything of the Casimir is always placed on the Casimir, not the individual one.
Which also takes away the other aspects of politics, like the Labour versus this versus that and bloody blah. It is literally a case of, because no one knows which one's in charge, you can't really place a blame towards any particular parties or any particular people. The only person who gets in to be the most senior is the person who's most adept for the job.
Yeah. The other thing that I feel that we're veering towards having a Casimir permanently. I think we've suggested that they aren't. It's not a constant position. It's a when we need one, we get a Casimir. It's not that there is constantly this group of.
No.
You constantly have the rulers. You constantly have the council. But when they need it,
special. Yes.
Yeah, it's when something occurs that needs someone to lead almost.
Basically, it's like the Batman suit.
Yeah.
When
everybody, at the moment, you know that George Clooney put it on and had bat nipples.
He did.
Then Christian Bale put it on and he didn't have bat nipples. And then
Affleck put it on and he had a huge chin.
Affleck had it. Richard Patterson had it. But if he was the Casimir, we'd just know that there was Batman.
Exactly.
Batman
the
with
hero
various
that we needed.
Batman with various odd costume choices.
And occasionally nipples, yes.
Occasionally nipples and a huge chin.
But it always had that huge chin.
Yeah, and I think if he's got a huge chin, surely that makes it a bit more obvious when they're trying to figure out who he is from behind the mask.
Hey, hang on. Doesn't Bruce Wayne have a huge chin?
Do we have anything else we want to add to any of the other groups? Or any other groups?
I really can't think of anything.
I can't think of any to add to these groups.
No.
Okay.
I feel there should be a group.
Okay.
A bad group.
Ooh. Okay.
Because surely with all these people and all these things, like the Alliance of Casimir that are maintaining like the fort, like Fort Vigil and Fort Casimir, surely there should be a group or cult like Axion.
Sense.
Yes. I feel that we're remiss in not having written a group called that, because I think we do specifically reference that in some of the locations we mention cultists, I think.
Yeah, the followers of Gygax.
So they should be a thing, surely.
I'd say you got a point there.
You certainly have a point there. I'm now trying to remember where we mentioned, because I'm sure we mentioned.
When did I mention that shit? We've got the Temple of the Gygaxian. It makes sense there'd be people worshiping at said temple, or at least trying to worship that said temple.
Are we literally just going with the cult of the Gygaxian?
How about the Gygaxia?
Like that? Or like that?
Hold on. Sorry, that's coming.
Wait.
I don't think. And I'm expecting Gygax. There, second one. Gygaxia.
Worshippers, not wordpressers.
Wordpressers of the website of the Gygaxian.
That's how they spread the word. It is. They pass their own judgment in that manner. Oh god.
But now that means we have to think about this thing.
Yep. Do you or anyone in the chat have anything else to add to a thing that's just currently worshippers of the evil spirit of the Gygaxian? I mean, I know that we mentioned in, is it Fort Vigil? Fort Vigil has a powerful magical artifact that was found with the potential to destroy many people or even whole cities. And they are the ones that are tasked with keeping a watch on the evil structure of the Gygaxian and performing rituals to ensure that Gygaxian remains locked away. We also have...
I mean, I'd say that the very bare-bone basic of the Gygaxia would be to try and bring the next coming of Gygaxian.
Ah, here we go. I found it. It's under the Temple of the Gygaxian.
How about that?
A dark obsidian structure that houses somewhere deep within the ancient and evil essence of the Gygaxian. A ritual must be regularly performed to ensure that the spirit of the Gygaxian remains locked in place. Corruption from the corrupted lands to the east. Can we come up with a better name for that one now? Appears to be reaching towards the temple. A group of mages discovered incantations which used to summon powerful dark magical forces, which are difficult to contain and pronounce. An ancient book contains these incantations, which is passed down through a cult. I'm gonna go ahead and assume the Gygaxia.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah.
It's safe to assume this.
There is now a secret society wanting to call upon these dark powers. That one, the one that we just said, the Gygaxia.
You just mentioned them. That one, yeah.
This discovery was made at the site now known as the Temple of the Gygaxian. So there is a dark book.
I would say that when it came down to it, they managed to take the Dark Book. The Dark Book is the symbol of their cult, the symbol of the Gygaxia. And the belief is that it is tied intrinsically to Gygaxian itself. And that in such, using the power inside the book, and by being able to potentially use other influence which might have been around there, they can bring Gygaxian back. That is their aim, is to bring back Gygaxian. The downside is that they're in a constant want to try and get into the Temple of Gygaxian, but are constantly being thwarted away by the fort. Was Fort Vigil, was it?
Yes.
Yeah, so that is the main thing that Fort Vigil are having to do, is to try and stop these worshippers trying to sneak in and either take more artifacts or perform rituals inside in an effort to try and break Gygaxian free.
Yes.
I would say in that regard then that they are also then they are more of a sneaky sort. So you imagine they're pretty more like thieves and assassins.
They're
not
worshipping in the shadows. They're not.
Exactly.
They're not parading through the streets and shit like that. They are very much underground.
But on top of that, it's become a part of their art, just for the sake that they need to sort of sneak into places. Like they need to sneak into the Temple of Gygaxia. They need to sneak about and get their wares and the required implements, because they're not necessarily easy to acquire any other way.
Bunch of sneaky bastards.
Worshippers of the evil spirit of the Gygaxian, the leader has an ancient book of runes that can summon ancient evil forces. Their aim is to bring back the Gygaxian. Their aim is to get into the... They aim for a lot of things. 2 things, at the very least.
Yes.
Their aim is to get into the temple to restore the evil spirit or steal artifacts from the temple, but are constantly being thwarted by the forces of Fort Vigil. They are worshipping in the dark. They are sneaking everywhere. Sneaky, sneaky bastards.
Exactly. Print that book.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see.
I need to put the faction tag on these guys.
Hashtag faction.
I'm going to go ahead and assume if they're sneaky, sneaky bastards, they don't have a heraldry, because that's kind of going against the being a sneaky, sneaky bastard. Maybe they have a rune that they recognize each other by.
Yeah, I think they'd have something, because to kind of mark, you got like the thieves' marks that you sometimes used to get, where people would they'd mark a house to say, oh, they've got they got this kind of security and they have this kind of stuff to steal. Obviously, they wouldn't have that kind of stuff, but just like a mark to say this is a safe place, or this or is at least in allegiance to that.
I was going to say,
Uses runes to mark safe hiding places and other such locations for members of the cult. For other members of the cult. Any other things we are thinking of for any of these things?
Yes.
I was going to say that maybe as well, considering that they're more on the magical side of things and potentially, and that they need as much help as they can get, they can be called in for different favors, as it were, from other factions, other things, trying to cause bigger chaoses, you know, through usually bartering system of what you need and we can get it for you to help you in your effort, or we can cause a distraction so that the Fort Vigil will come towards us so that you have a better chance to get in, so long as you come and scratch our back. Effectively meaning that they can work in other factions as well. They can work with others, so long as it gives favor to their faction.
Do we have a name for their leader?
Gary.
Do we have a better name for their leader?
The Grand Gary.
To be fair, I would love for it to be known more like just they don't dare take the full name, which is the reason why they always change the name. So rather than being Gygaxians, they are the Gygaxar. That maybe the person who's in charge becomes the Geiger. That is the Grand Geiger. I'm not sure whether that's working out quite as well as my head wants it to. I say it out loud. But
I'm noodling.
I'm looking at my list of NPC names and trying to come up with one that isn't just Evil McEvilface.
And you could just make it that is.
Thalassa Shadowborn. Polmanta Nightfire.
Lucius Malfoy.
Lysandra Nightfire.
I like the Nightfire.
Azura Nightfire. Malakar Nightfire.
Malakar, not quite, doesn't
it? That I think that goes too far into the Evil McEvil thing.
Yeah.
Tauren Nightfire.
How about Elric?
Elric Nightfire?
Elric Nightfire.
That sounds like that could be a perfectly respectable potion seller or wizard or
that was
someone.
Kind of, yeah.
You can be a perfectly normal person, not like, oh, I don't want to go to fucking Malficarum.
It's one of those. I take the joke from Rick and Morty, which Coach Ferratu. Is this a joke? Is this a joke? This also.
Joke to you people.
Whereas if you make it a bit more, no, this is a person you could probably find on the street quite happily. He's not trying to sound terrible or terrifying and all that side of things. He wants to fit in. And even if he had a more horrendous name, he probably changed it, or she changed it, or they changed it to fit in ever so better.
Exactly.
So I think that's a good place. Like I know it's an early stream, but also like 66% of the streamers at the moment are under the weather.
They are plagued currently,
so I think that's a decent place for us to wrap it on up. I would like to suggest before we do, next time, actually no, before we wrap it up, I've got another naming thing I want to do.
Son of a bitch.
Okay.
The corrupted lands to the east.
Right.
At the moment, we've named them.
We should call them the Eastern Corrupted Lands. I mean,
I want to have a better name than the corrupted lands to the east.
Because it's like desert area, isn't it? We've got.
It's
like
sort
the
of
east of that.
It's where the darkness is coming over.
Yeah, it's.
Although it does kind of like go into the northern part of the map as well, not just the.
It's all up that coast of the continent. Is this corruption from the Maelstrom?
Yeah.
We've sort of suggested that it's almost very much a Mordor-esque Badlands. Like, people don't tend to go there.
And they most certainly don't just walk into it, obviously.
No, I mean, some people do apparently just like wander in and out, but it's sort of maybe volcanic. Difficult to pass terrain.
So obviously the easy and kind of cliched ones are things like the Blight Lands or the Dead Lands or stuff like that. But as I said, that's very cliche.
Yeah. Morvar. Lorelva. The Whispering Spires.
Please hold, whatever.
Shadowfell Hollow.
This is a creeping shadow land, isn't it? So slowly moving its way.
Yes. Seemingly reaching for the Temple of the Gygaxian.
About the pestilent shadow.
Ooh.
You could even throw in for the sacred lands, but it's the pestilent shadow which is coming through, tainting and basically infecting the land.
Sure.
I'm trying to think. Because I keep thinking about the fact that it's going on kind of along the entire coastline. So I keep trying to think of like the Dark Shores or the Blighted Shores. But obviously that kind of goes to Blighted Lands. It's kind of There's like names on the edge of my brain.
How about the Reaching Ruin?
The Reaching Ruin works.
What about Lewa?
Lewa?
The elven word for sick, sickly, or ill.
Ah.
The Lewa Abyss.
Lewa Abyss. I must admit, Lewa by itself didn't really have much to it, but the Abyss does add a nice little touch.
Or the Lewa Blight. The Lewa Coast.
I like Lewa.
Lewa is good. It just needs a good little thing with it.
It just needs something else on it. It's like I don't want to say the thing is what there's one word just came straight to my mind, but it's like, well, now that doesn't. I don't know if that works, just because the Lewa Waste, but then it just sounds like lay waste.
Lewa and Phalas.
And Phalas means
long shore.
Lewa and Phalas.
Lewa Fuin. Lewa Fuin. Lewa Fuin.
Lewa Thuin.
So that would be Sickness, Darkness, or the Sick Dark. The reason I'm thinking along those lines is because this corruption is reaching in away from the coast. And the more it comes in, the more it corrupts. So it is a sickness and illness which is going by.
So how are we spelling Lewa Thuin?
So your Lewa with F-U-I-N.
F-U-I-N.
That's it.
Oh. Lewa Thuin. What do you think, Sean?
I think it works.
Yay, we can stop just calling it that bad place over there.
What, you mean that bad place over there?
Ah, terrible place right over there it is, I tells you.
Cool.
Going over there. That place is right horrible, that is.
Oy.
And also, I think because I've used obsidian and done it properly, for the most part.
Don't go over there. No. I sat on a rock over there before. Gave my bum the right itch, it did.
For the most part, that has just gone through and renamed all the places. So we've just put the corrupted Badlands to Leiwa Fuin.
That is pretty cool.
Yay! This thing.
Yay. Technology works.
When you use it right. So I think, as said before, that is a good time to stop and wrap it up. I am going to stretch time out a little bit because we're about to hit another advert break. So I want to do the wrap-up stuff after this ad break finishes. So I think next time what I would like to look at, like there's 2 other topics that I know from our list of, or from my list of things that we still need to talk about. I want to get ideally a adventure hook for most places. Some sort of bud of an adventure that you might take from at least the settlements, the towns, not necessarily like the Boreas Fields, but something that you might go on an adventure from the place-named places. And then the other thing that we've got to talk about is the realms beyond our own. Because at the moment, we've got the Garden of Starless Nights that is literally just labelled in here, Shadow Realm. A dark reflection of Tamrinor. And the Slumbering Twilight, which is the Fey Realm. In some places, an exaggeration of Tamrinor. In others, the Archfays have realms twisted to their own desires or depravities. So I think we need to come up with slightly more detail on the extraplanar places, such as, you know, the heavens and the hells.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think next time we should do the adventure hooks, and then the time after that, we'll do the extraplanar she's.
Shit, man.
And then what else did we have on the list of things that we still need to talk about? I mean, it would be good to come up with some magic items and artifacts and discuss what these things are. Obviously, we've now got the armor of Casimir. We also have, how does farming work for some of our places? Because at the moment we've got things like the avians living at the very summit of the mountains. Do they do farming up there, or do they just have a very active transportation network? And also a discussion of the clothing styles of the different places, which is one that Sian has mentioned that she wants to be involved in, a discussion of what people wear because it's cold in some places.
Because it's chicken chili.
So we've got a few more episodes. But I mean, the book is coming along pretty well at the moment. In terms of page count right now, we're at 48. And that's including the front cover, but not a back cover. And we've got one piece of artwork finished for the book. And 2 others currently commissioned. 3 others currently commissioned. So yeah, artwork, it's happening.
Okay.
Art doesn't exist, John.
So yeah, the book is a bookin'. I mean, I suppose actually one of the other things that we should add to that list of things that we need to discuss at some point is possibly doing a session where we brainstorm some stat blocks. Because I've got some ideas for some of these. Like I know for things like the forged goat, I'm just going to take the goat and give it spider climb.
Sounds ridiculous. Preposterous.
Yes.
Spider goat. Does whatever a spider goat does.
And for like the Romantia, that's mostly just going to be a rock with mimicry. But yeah, I mean, you know, we can look at doing some statting of creatures.
Yeah.
But yes, that is all for now.
Yes.
Thank you guys in the chat so much for being here, asking questions, or just commiserating with those of us that are feeling a little bit poorly today. Hopefully we'll feel a little less poorly tomorrow.
Is open.
If you haven't done so already, please do hit that follow button. It's a great way for you guys to know we go live, a completely free way that you can support us on the channel. It really does mean a lot to us. We also have a YouTube that you can find to catch up with our previous videos. We have a Discord you can join to chat with us about the games that we're playing, the things that we're doing. We have a website, finalbossfight.co.uk, that you can find all of the details of things that we're doing. And I'm thinking soonish, at some point in the times, I will possibly start looking at getting previews of book writings up on things, be that our social media that you can find through our website or posts on our website. Stay tuned to find out those details as we get closer to the release of the book, because we are going to release it, because that's the thing we want to do. I want to do it.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the streams that are coming up. Oh crap, I need to remember to plan for that one. Tomorrow night, the Dungeon of the Mad Mage continues as the group leave the miniature castle that they've been ransacking for the last couple of episodes and head back out into the caverns in the dungeon. On Monday, myself, Michael, and Sean will be continuing with Satisfactory, as it is, I believe, the last week that we have Fixmas event stuff going on. It'll be the last week for us to complete Fixmas event things. So hopefully we'll finish the Fixmas event. This also requires me to remember to leave the game running for a bit to do some of the processing we needed it to do between last time and next time. Message to Self-Brain. Tuesday, I'm going to be continuing Dragon Age. Last time, we sealed the breach, and everybody was happy forever and ever until a dragon came and burned down Haven and dropped me in a hole. But I've been told everything is fine.
Everything's fine.
On Wednesday this week, myself, Ben, Jen, and Tanny will be playing some more Minecraft, where myself and Tanny at least are going to start looking into Ars Nouveau and being generally wizard-like sorcery people. And then on Saturday next week, this is the one I need to do prep work for, it is the next FBF quiz night, because we're going to do these once every other month this year, which should give me more time to prep quizzes and will mean I do it less likely in the week before it happens.
Are you gonna do it the week before it happens?
But for now, let's find out who is live for us to raid. Who'st be live for us to raid?
To do your own trade.
Let us raid into Ms. Luna Magic, who is wholesomely unhinged and playing a little bit of Marvel Rivals. Or currently, from the looks of things, looking at a dog on a frog. We'll go give Ms. Luna Magic some love. We'll see you guys again real soon. For now, so long. Bye, guys.
Bye.